Hey everyone, my name is Chris Lambert. I co-host the Kanye West podcast, Watching the Throne, and then I also make YouTube videos here talking about Kanye. Today we're going to be talking about the latest news in the lead up to Sunday service at Coachella. And there's kind of two things which Team Kanye Daily has done a good job of. They always do a good job of keeping up on the latest information. One is this photo. My uncle is out building the site for Sunday service with Kanye, saw videos, literally a dirt hill, and then this is the finished product. So we're getting this kind of mountainous hillside thing that the performance is going to be on, which is kind of cool. And then Kanye was actually at Coachella today. I think this is the first footage that we've seen of his arrival. And shout out to Francesca for this. And there's a few things that I want to talk about in this video, one a bit more serious than the others. The first is Rick Rubin right here. I'm sure most of you are familiar with Rick Rubin and who he is and what he does and his relationship with Kanye. So you're probably already excited. But for those of you who don't know him, I'll go over him. But then also check out the shoes. It seems like Kanye's rocking the 700 Vantas, which I'm pretty excited about. So we're going to show those off. And then lastly, just Kanye's outfit. It's mid-April in California. The weather is pretty good and you can see everything that everybody else is wearing. So just talking briefly about that as well. And I like that Kanye's videographer's still hanging around. You see him in all these videos and things that pop up. Kids dedicated. So first, Rick Rubin. You may be familiar with his career. It's pretty illustrious. Dude's pretty much one of the most decorated executive producers or album producers of all time. And you can just go through the 80s into the 90s, 2000s, 2010s. He's worked with some of the most popular artists. And you can see with Kanye, he has 3 credits specifically, Better Than I've Ever Been, which was just the song, but then he was an executive producer on Yeezus and also helped produce things for The Life of Pablo. And there are a bunch of legends regarding Rick Rubin and Yeezus and the making of Yeezus. This Rolling Stone article, I can't tell you how many times I've read it over the years, just whenever I'm bringing up stuff about the making of Yeezus. But it has some great quotes about the fact that the initial cut was 3.5 hours. And when Kanye asked Rubin to work on it, Rubin was like, sure. What, we have like 8 months? Kanye's like, no, 5 weeks. And that it was just this race to get everything done in time. That went from cutting the album from 16 tracks down to 10 and making it much more minimal than what it was. So there's a lot of good lore and legends about Yeezus that you can get from Rick Rubin. And if you Google Yeezus and Rick Rubin. Then we also have, you may remember, Rubin being spotted around the Life of Pablo time, and also April of last year, he was spotted with Kanye. And we know in April of last year that Kanye was working on music for what would eventually become Ye. He ended up scrapping that first version of the album after everything that went down with TMZ, but Rubin was around as Kanye started to put the finishing touches on the album. So I'm kind of hyped about the fact that Rubin's around right now. It could just be that because so many big names are at Coachella, it seems like an event Rubin would be at, and because the two are friends, I mean, of course they'd hang out. So it could just be nothing more than the two hanging out. It could be that Rubin's consulting on Sunday service and just what the performance will be because Kanye trusts him. But we still have the hope and anticipation that we're going to get Yandhi news at Coachella. And if we're getting Yandhi news about potential release, it might make sense that Kanye has been working with Rubin in the lead up to maybe a release in the next couple weeks. Fingers crossed, unlikely at this point because it just seems Yandhi's in perpetual keep away from us. But still, Rubin's a hopeful sign. And then he also has this podcast with Malcolm Gladwell, the famed writer of The Tipping Point and Outliers, about music called Broken Record. That's currently the #1 music podcast on iTunes. I haven't listened to it. I hear good things, some mixed reviews, boring, boring. But people say a bunch of shit about our podcast too, so I'm sure it's insightful. And then getting into the shoes, these are what the Vanta 700 V2s look like. I think they're pretty awesome. I was trying not to get any more Yeezys in 2019. Like, I got way too many in 2018. But I've wanted a black pair, and these seem like they're going to be the best thing that I can get. I don't have a pair of the 700 V2s yet, but I'm also torn because the 350 V2 blacks are going to come out, and these things are pretty awesome as well. So I'm kind of torn between the 700 and the 350. But the analog is the next Yeezy to come out. I just like the contrast between the all white of the analog and the all black of the Vanta. I'd like to cop them all. I won't be able to, but I'd like to. And then the last thing, I noticed over the last few years, it seems that Kanye still wears long sleeves and long pants in hot weather, which I've done as well. I think we all have worn jeans when it's really hot out at times, or maybe still a button down with the sleeves down. But, you know, Kanye wearing this full-blown coats and long pants when everyone else around him is wearing shorts is just really funny to me. I like to think that Kanye's been on a anti-seasons campaign where he's just like, no, you don't have to be defined by what the temperature is or what the weather is. You just wear what you want. I like to think that's what he's thinking. He may just run cold, you know, or not want to take his jacket off. But I like the idea that he's running this anti-seasons campaign. And that does it for this overview. As more information comes out over the next couple days, I'll be making some recap and update videos to keep you in the loop. And then, of course, during Sunday service, I'm going to have YouTube video, article on Forbes, the whole 9 yards to go over what happened and what we should be excited about or anything to take away from it. But if you haven't heard about the Forbes thing yet, I've started writing articles about Kanye on Forbes. And my second one's up. If you want to help me out, you can go and click on that because clicks matter. But then if you want to support the channel, the easiest way to do that is just subscribing, liking, watching videos, commenting. All 4 of those things kind of go into the algorithm that tells YouTube this is a worthwhile channel. So then they show it to more people, and it also affects like the monetization of the channel. So if you want to help us out. And then our podcast episodes, we drop our Fade episode on Tuesday. We just released our Through the Wire episode, and today we recorded our Family Business episode. So we're almost done with Kanye's discography. So if you want to hear a narrative and thematic breakdown of any album or any song, you can go to the podcast on iTunes or Spotify, and yeah, you can find that. It's the best analysis of Kanye that you'll find. I stand by that. But until the next video, if you have any requests or anything, leave the comments. Stay wavy, keep it loopy, and we shall talk soon.